Hey there, Dr. Caroline Carpenter back. This time I am at the pool. Nobody else is here. My favorite time. So let me tell you, patience is not my thing. I just did a post. I have changed up my strategy, and here's the thing. How many times have you tried something new for it to not work the way you'd hoped quickly and then gotten frustrated? Yeah. Trying something new, there's going to be a learning curve, and that is what I'm dealing with today. So I'm at the pool doing a video, and I want to recap what I have covered in my Amygdala Reset Accelerator group. So I did a 20-minute video last week on really the first 5 weeks. And a lot of cool stuff came up in week 5 about boundaries and that moment where you're getting ready to say yes or no to someone or a request. And that moment where something's on the table, there needs to be an answer, and then you get the brain fog. Have you ever done that? This is the defining moment of, wow, I don't know what my boundary is here. Wow, I don't know where my line is. And this is where, 1, you need time, and 2, you need clarity, and 3, you need to check in with self to figure out where is that line. Because that line should have been formed from 0 to 7 with help from the parents, but we all didn't get that. And that is why saying no can be super scary. It can be scary. It can be problematic. It can feel like losing connection. So here's the crazy thing about saying no and boundaries. The more you do it, the more respect you get. Feels like the opposite. Feels like sometimes if you came from a codependent family, or a family where there was a lot of enmeshment or a lot of external self-worth required or expected, like as a child getting self-worth from doing things for other people. That is what happened to me. And it can be very confusing when that is switched, especially in adult years, because the whole point from 0 to 7, absorbing all the programs of those around us, is to automatically take in how to set boundaries and when to say no and how to get self-worth from within. So that moment when you get the deer in the headlights, I know you know what I'm talking about. The, do I say yes or do I say no? I don't know. I need time, but I feel like they need an answer now. That is where you get to exercise setting a boundary to even find out what your boundary and your line is in that subject matter. This is where you figure out what your personal needs are, and you ask for the time and the space. Here's the thing. You don't even have to give a time frame of when you'll have an answer. That is the beauty of boundaries. You can say something like, I'm feeling confused, or I'm feeling overwhelmed internally, and I don't even know where my line is here. That'll do one of 2 things. The other person will, 1, acknowledge, wow, that is a cool way of modeling a pause. I should probably do that. They will respect it, and they will be like, okay. So a lot of times we expect someone to say, I need an answer now. If someone were to say that to you, more than likely you would automatically know. No, you don't get to tell me that. You don't get to tell me when I give you an answer. Unless you're in a corporate situation with really, really, really high pressure, and even that's changing. There are a lot of unrealistic expectations out there that have come from a long toxic patriarchal approach to hustle and grind and serve the system. Times have changed. This doesn't work anymore. Autonomy, sovereignty, and personal power are where it's at. And how you get those things is, 1, saying, hey, I don't know where my line is right now, and I need time to figure it out. 2, if you don't know how long it will take you to figure it out, say that. You get to say, I don't really know how long this will take me, but I need time, and I don't have an end date. And then 3. I think we're on 3. If the person asks you for a time limit, you can say, I'm sorry, I can't give that to you. I don't know what that is. I'm going to let myself down, and I'm surely going to let you down if I let myself down. So, 1, I need to figure out what my time limit is. Or 1, I need to figure out what my limit is here. 2, it's important to me to be true to myself, because if I'm not true to myself, I'm going to be resentful, and you're going to pick up on that later. That is massively respectful. So, saying no will get you way more respect than saying yes. Now, there's a way to say no. There is a compassionate, caring, empowered way to say no, and there's a disempowered way to say no. What this looks like is raising your voice at the end of a statement, making it a question. That is a disempowered way of asking permission to be able to draw a boundary. Make a statement, period. Statements are powerful. You are powerful. And when you change the way you speak, your unconscious is always listening. That little girl and little boy inside of you is listening and taking information in. And when you change the way you speak, others hear you too. And they will respond to your energy differently. So, paying attention to how you draw boundaries and how you ask for time and how you say, I don't know, is very important. Many people fall into saying, I don't know, from a guilt and shame place. And this is picked up again in the first 0 to 7 years. And so that's why one of the most important things from my perspective is clearing out those original 0 to 7 year cycles that are playing out below the surface, really deeply below the surface. If you can name the problem, that's not the actual problem. This is how root problems work. It's like a core memory. Core memories touch everything else. Like whatever filter that core memory was made through is going to touch everything else around the core memory. So that original programming and the emotions and beliefs tied to it will filter on to everything else that you do and say and think and feel. And this is how one person's no feels totally different than another person's no. This is how an empowered no sounds different from an asking permission no. It's a difference of, I don't have time today versus, I don't have time today. Very different. It's the difference between, I'm going to need more time to think about this, or I think I need some more time to think this through. Slight changes, very different the way it lands. So here's how to know when to say no to someone's request. If you're looking for approval from the person, say no. If you are afraid of the response if you say no, say no. If you don't want to do the thing, if you secretly don't want to, if you internally don't want to do it, say no. These are usually the reasons. The first 2 are typically the reasons someone will say yes. If you fear someone's response, if you say no, or if you don't know how to say no. I forget the first one I said. If you're fearing their response, or if you're looking for approval, say no. You're going to get approval by saying no, or you're going to get a hard look at a toxic response that needs to go in your life. This is a chance to reformat how people interact with you. So, if you're unsure of when to say no, if you're looking for their approval, say no. 2, if you're afraid of their response if you say no, say no. Now, if it's an unsafe situation, safety has to be acquired first. Mentally, physically, emotionally. And if it's a mentally, physically, or emotionally unsafe situation, there's a lot bigger things that need to be addressed here. And saying no is a big deal. So, yeah, boundaries Boundaries are a thing, and learning how to say no and when to say no can be really difficult. But when you master it, and when you ask for a pause, or when you can specifically identify, I don't know what my boundary is here, or I know what my boundary is here, your relationship with the world and other people changes dramatically. So, really the only way to know where your boundaries are firm and where they're not firm is to interact with other people. And you'll know the feeling. It's that feeling of your amygdala will get hijacked every time you don't know your boundaries and there's an opportunity to set one. It's a lot of fun once you figure out what's happening. There's about 3 universal tests to see how you interact with others. 1 for the body, 1 for the universe, 1 for your mind. And it's like a moving target. You get to choose where your boundaries are in any moment. And that's the beauty of it. You get to change your mind. You get to change your mind as often as you like and as much as you like. So just remember, choosing you first is paramount. If you're looking for others' approval, say no. If you fear others' response, say no. It might be scary, but it will totally be worth it. Love you all. Got a workshop coming up over who's hijacked my relationship, or yes, it's over amygdala hijack and how it impacts relationships and business. 1 involves money, 1 involves interaction. Really, they both involve interaction. 1 just adds money to the table and self-worth. So the same thing that will impact romantic relationships is the same thing that will impact business. And if you've ever heard the saying, you don't have a business problem. If you've got a business problem, it's not a business problem. It's a relationship problem showing up in your business. This is why this matters. So whether you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, a woman in a relationship, or someone who was raised in a codependent household and learned codependent tendencies, or just is ready to stand in her power, in her autonomy, and in her sovereignty, you definitely want to be there. Love you all.